Welcome back. You're watching Live from Paris on France 24. James Creedon is here with our daily dose of Media Watch. Good to see you, James.
Evening, Laura.
We're going to start with the coverage of the war in Mali. The first news of civilian casualties have been picked up by the media because it has been a lot of celebration, hasn't it? Look, France is winning the war, chasing out the Islamists. François Hollande himself said, "We are winning this battle." You know, it's all very gung-ho.
Right.
But there are two sides to this, aren't there?
Well, journalists have now reached the town of Kona, which is closer to the action of the front line where it has been and where it is evolving past in the last couple of weeks. Now, before that point, they were in Bamako for the vast majority of the journalists, the capital, so far away from the action, so dependent on army PR filtering the information through. Now, I'll show you online. This is an article from The Independent. It actually came out initially in the British press, how a French raid killed 12 Malian villagers. Now, that's 2 weeks ago. We're getting this information 2 weeks after the actual event. That, as well as an AFP report giving images, recount how 12 civilians died in that attack in Kona. 3 were under the age of 11 and 15 were injured. So what is interesting, as I was saying, is that this is coming 2 weeks later. Now, also a certain amount of criticism of embedded journalists, because while some aren't there and just we don't know what's happening and we're reliant on army PR and getting news maybe 2 weeks late, there are some then who are embedded. For example, when the town of Gao was being freed from the Islamist rebels yesterday, you had France 24 as well. We had people with the army going in and getting pictures. Now let's roll some of the pictures that we saw yesterday. Jubilation, obviously, as you would understand. This is on the evening news on France 2, and you saw people waving French flags, waving other flags as well.
A
hero is welcome, and these were genuine scenes. These were very happy people seeing the arrival of troops and the freeing of their town. But as they point out on the Arrêt sur Image website, and let's go back to the computer because I'll show you some of these criticisms. You're also seeing them in the Malian press. There were scenes of pillaging and looting and all sorts of less positive scenes that took place after the liberation of Gao.
Looting by Malians?
By Malians. They say here in the Malian press that it was the Mujao, who are a group allied with the Islamists. So those scenes were not being picked up by the journalists, who perhaps weren't there at the moment that looting took place because they were with the army. They weren't free to roam around and pick up the pictures that they wanted to pick up and give a nuanced, balanced kind of maybe report on what's happening. It's a
very dangerous situation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, should we move on to something completely different?
Yes.
Demonstrations in Paris once again in favour of gay marriage and adoption. It is still a very controversial issue here, isn't it?
That's right. And what you're seeing on social media is division 24 hours after you had at least 180,000, perhaps a couple of 100,000 people on the streets of Paris. You're seeing people posting photos such as this one on one of the bridges that the protesters crossed over in favour of gay marriage and adoption rights. So that gives us the sense that there was a huge crowd, and indeed it was an impressive number of people.
Beautiful photograph as well.
It is a beautiful photo. And then you have under the hashtag flop pour tous. I'll have to explain that because it's called mariage pour tous, marriage for all, and that is a hashtag that is popular on social media. Flop for all is photos, images, etc. being put up by people against the gay marriage and adoption bill. And so what you have here are photos of what, you know, people are trying to make out that the crowds were very sparse. You can see that photo there, and it seems like that was probably after the march, to be honest. And further down, somebody saying, in France, the law is voted in Parliament, not at the Vatican. And somebody saying, oh, that's a Catholic-phobic tweet. So you can see that really...
Well, Parliament will start talking about it tomorrow, won't
That's
they?
right. The debate is going to happen in Parliament tomorrow. Now, one page that I think is worth showing as well is this one, if I could find it. It seems to be losing my way. Now, that is actually... I'll talk about that. That is an interview that François Hollande gave to the gay magazine Têtu, where he said he was in favour of IVF treatment
before he was elected.
Lesbian couples.
Right.
Before he was elected, that interview has now conveniently been deleted, and that is not François Hollande. I think we can confirm.
That is not François Hollande.
That is their Têtu's page saying
he did embark on a pretty impressive diet, but not that impressive.
It's not that impressive.
Just time, James, to tell us about an advert telling people not to come to Britain, please.
Right. Now, the restrictions on Romanians and Bulgarians travelling to the UK next year will be lifted. So some in the UK are saying, oh my God, there's going to be a huge wave of people. One thing that the British government has thought about doing is a negative massive ad campaign to convince Bulgarians and Romanians that the streets of London are not paved with gold. So here are some ideas from The Guardian. Britain, it's rubbish. Also for The Independent, people talking about how it's raining. You also have this ad, which was a real Eurostar ad campaign from 2007. Anyway, some ideas to dissuade people from going to wet and rainy London town.
Just
and
your average sight on a British street. All right, James Creedon, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
James Creedon there with Media Watch. So we're going to take a short break. We'll leave you with web news. Stay with us.